Hi, football fans. How are we doing on this fine, hot 100-degree Tuesday? So, nothing says football like the end of June, right? We got 30 days until training camp. And for those of us who just finished up hockey season, rather than be desperate for missing hockey, we'll just switch right to football. Why not? Now, one of the things I'm going to do on this channel this year is on a weekly basis, I'm going to go over some of the different content that I like to watch. Rich Eisen is just about one of my favorite NFL guys. And every Monday, he's got a video series out with him and his cohort, Chris. That's Overreaction Monday. So I watched this one. I said, you know what? Why don't we react to these? Now, I'm not going to do every single one, at least not now, because it was a rather long show that he did during the season. We'll do as many of them as we can. Many of the overreactions we'll do every week. So, without further ado, the first one, I'm going to show a little clip of what they said, and then we'll get into my reaction.
Thought about this one. This was a late ad because I wanted to start this off as spicy as possible and as hot as possible.
Okay.
We all remember what happened in the Super Bowl less than 6 months ago, Rich Eisen. Last year's Super Bowl blowout loss marked the end of the Chiefs' dynasty.
That's absurd. That is one of the most absurd things I've heard in a long time, and you know exactly how I was going to react to this sort of thing.
Of course I did.
Last year's Super Bowl win marked the end of the Chiefs dynasty. What I would like to have happen, what is likely going to happen. What I'd like to have happen is, I'd love to agree with that. On the other side, what's likely to happen, you got Buffalo, Baltimore, and then you got the Chiefs, right? And when I say Buffalo and Baltimore, those are really, in my opinion, the only two teams that would really stand a chance against the Chiefs. You're talking about in Kansas City in the playoffs. If Kansas City should somehow falter during the regular season, maybe Denver win the division. We'll get into that a little bit later. Maybe, but that's a big fat maybe. The end of their dynasty, I don't know. I don't know about that. Philly could repeat. That's a whole other ball of wax. But in terms of the Chiefs being completely done, much like with the Patriots, I wouldn't count them out, and I sure as hell wouldn't bet against them.
They play in New Jersey. The Jets and Giants will combine for less wins than the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh. Yeah, I see somebody's already yelling in the back, Chris. It only took one moment.
Is that a Go Birds back there?
No, that's an Eagles fan.
Rich, I don't know how this season goes well for the Giants and Jets. I just don't.
The Giants and Jets will combine for less wins than the Cowboys. Ooh. Oh, boy, that's so close. That is so close. The Jets, how bad can they be, right? You got to figure they're going to be a little bit better. The Giants, not so sure. Now, the Cowboys, generally speaking, have the reputation of being a really good regular season team and then faltering during the postseason. And they've earned that reputation. But you're talking about the Jets maybe winning 5, the Giants maybe winning 6, and then Dallas would have to win 12. I don't know about that. I think Dallas is more likely to win 10 or 7. One of the Jets or the Giants, maybe the Jets might come closer to winning 7. I think it's close. It's debatable. But usually when you're counting on 2 teams to be just horrifically bad for another full season, I don't know. Jets and Giants both have a tendency to beat some of the better teams in their division, right? You know what I mean? They pull off a win here or there that maybe they shouldn't. I think that sticks around. I think maybe the Giants win 7, maybe the Jets win 6 or 7, and Dallas wins more like 10, maybe 11.
Okay.
The Commanders are going to miss the playoffs this year.
You're out of your mind.
Here's the deal. Hear me out. Sophomore slump.
Is this the latest subject matter?
This is next. This is topic 4.
Okay.
Here's the deal. The NFC East is going to be better. You said the Giants could have a top 10 defense. They have 3 quarterbacks. We'll see what Russ does, but Jackson Dart is going to play at some point this year, like Daniel Jeremiah pointed out, maybe sooner than later, right? And the Cowboys are going to be plussed up. So
the Commanders will miss the playoffs. Now, I get Chris's reasoning here, the sophomore slump, although we'll get into that again a little bit later. Now, Washington's schedule, this is the one thing I would look at. Washington's schedule is not for the meek, especially the second half of the season. And in fact, when you just go down the list from about week 7 on, Dallas, Dallas, at Kansas City, home against Seattle, home against Detroit, at Miami, which I think that's a Brazil game. I think that's where they're playing that game. Then they have the bye. Then they finish up against Denver, at Minnesota, at the Giants, home against Philly, home against Dallas, and at Philadelphia to end the season. So if injuries are any kind of a problem for Washington, could they miss the playoffs? It's possible. I mean, they could win 9 games and still miss the playoffs. But that second half of the year's schedule, I mean, you're talking about finishing up with Philly, Dallas, and Philly again. That's a big yikes. I'm going to go out on the limb and say they still make the playoffs, but I don't think Chris is far off here.
Dan Campbell is the head coach under the most pressure in 2025.
Out of all the head coaches.
Out of all the head coaches, Dan Campbell. Are you a contender or not? Are you going to the Super Bowl or not? You've been building. How often are you going to keep building before you actually deliver me what you've promised? And that was a Super Bowl run for Detroit. We just haven't seen it yet.
Now this one hits home. Dan Campbell is the head coach under the most pressure this season. Yeah, I think he's Cocoa Puffs. I think he's Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs there. In my opinion, I'm sure most Dolphin fans would say that McDaniel should be the guy on the hot seat more than anybody right now. I don't see Dan Campbell on the hot seat right now. You're talking about him taking a franchise that was just bullocks, right? They were just trash. They were just garbage. They couldn't do anything right. Have they won a Super Bowl? No. Have they been consistently good and in the Super Bowl conversation? Yes. I think any good owner, good general manager is going to understand in any professional sport, that's all you can ask for. We all know the injuries Detroit had towards the end of the season in the playoffs last year. To say that he's on the hot seat is a wild, wild stretch.
Wearing a Big Papi t-shirt, obviously I am a New England fan. Mike Vrabel's going to win Coach of the Year. The Pats are back, people. We're back. Cooper Eisen, we're back. Jack, we're back. Cage, we're back.
Oh, boy.
So Chris is a Patriots fan, and it shows here. His next one is Mike Vrabel's going to win Coach of the Year. That's going to be a bit of a stretch, almost as much of a stretch as Dan Campbell being the most under pressure of the NFL coaches. The AFC East, NFC East are very similar in that even the lower teams can pick off, the better teams from time to time. You don't see a lot of sweeps. Even when the Patriots were winning, the Dolphins would beat them. The Bills are winning, the Dolphins will still beat them, split the series. I don't know about Coach of the Year. Now, will the Patriots be improved? No doubt. Are they going to be a 10 or 11 win team? That's going to be tough. That's going to be tight, right? Okay. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because nobody saw the Coach of the Year candidates from last year coming forward. We're going to give New England 9 wins, maybe 10. Even if they get 10, I don't know about Coach of the Year.
Was spectacular. Led his team to the playoffs. Bo Nix is going to be an MVP finalist this year.
Top 5 quarterback. Bo
Nix led all rookie quarterbacks in touchdowns. Sean Payton, year 2. Got some weapons in the draft. Broncos win the West. Bo Nix, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns.
That's a little much for me.
Really?
Yeah.
And this one's a little bit interesting because it wasn't but a few picks ago that Chris was saying the Commanders would miss the playoffs because Jaden Daniels would have a sophomore slump. And now he's picking Bo Nix to be an MVP finalist. Now, I will say the defense in the AFC West does tend to allow guys to get their points here or there when they're having their off days. It's not like the AFC North, which we'll get into in a second. But that's a big stretch. The second-year quarterback thing, the sophomore slump, it's not an imaginary thing. A lot of good quarterbacks start off Then they have a little bit of a dip, and then they start escalating back up. I don't know about MVP finals. Some of these picks, I grasp the fact that Chris is trying to find content in June, but I don't know which one is worse, the Dan Campbell, the Bo Nix, or the Mike Vrabel. All of them, cuckoo. Exactly.
Divisions in the NFL: AFC West, NFC North.
Both Norths.
Both Norths. The NFC East.
AFC East.
Rich, the AFC North. One playoff.
Oh, no.
One playoff team.
That's wild.
From the AFC North.
And who is it?
It's the Baltimore Ravens. They might go to the Super Bowl this year, but everyone else, Cleveland has 5 quarterbacks. They don't have one. They don't have any.
Now, here's one I might kind of agree with. The AFC North will only get one playoff team, Baltimore. We're all going to start at Baltimore and just take Cleveland and just put them down here. Now, there's Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh, just because of Mike Tomlin and their record of, I think it's something like 875 straight years of above 500 play, they're just the annual, we barely made the playoffs and get our asses handed to us in the first round team. So do we really want to pick against them? I know how people can feel about Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he's going to make them better. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But what about Cincinnati? They didn't make a ton of changes. They're just kind of counting on progress from a lot of guys. It's a tough call, but when you look around the rest of the divisions, I just don't see where both Cincinnati and Pittsburgh will get locked out. Baltimore is clearly the class of the division. I think that's set in stone. But when you look at the East, it's like, do you count on anybody else? Miami? No. Patriots? Forget about the Jets, right? Houston? Okay. Jacksonville? Colts? You look at where you got the Chiefs are going to win, most likely. Could Denver? Maybe. Could the Chargers? I always want to call them San Diego. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas, a lot of middle ground teams. Odds are one of Cincinnati or Pittsburgh is going to make it. So again, I ain't going to call this. I'm not going to call this one Cocoa Puffs, but I'm not so sure we're going to see Dan Campbell getting fired the same week Bo Nix gets the MVP. And that's going to do for today. I like this format. I like what Chris and Rich do on a weekly basis. Obviously, right now it's just off-season talk, so we're just getting the engines fired up here. But throughout the year, they actually do have some pretty good discussions, and things are a little bit less obvious in terms of overreactions or not. So definitely going to make sure every Tuesday I have this one out. If there's any other content that you would like to see me cover on this channel, just let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to do it. I'm going to start running this channel the same way that I've been running the hockey channel. And last thing I'll say is maybe we'll get the same results. Probably not. I've been running the hockey channel for 9 years. First 4 that were really bad. And then we won 2 straight finals. So I don't know how long it's going to take of me running this channel full time for the Dolphins to get good. To me, it's the same thing, right? I left a comment on the Dolphin video earlier, and I said that Dolphins want a culture change, but the Panthers didn't get their culture change until they changed the GM, the coach, and brought in a player in Kachuk that made things happen. I kind of think the Dolphins are going to have to do the same thing if they're going to want to make any headways. So that's it for today. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. I see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow we start live stream at 4 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. We'll have some days where we miss during the summer. But once we get going in the season, every day to be live stream on this channel to talk Dolphins and the NFL at 4 o'clock Eastern. I'll see you tomorrow.